Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be here. It's good to come on an occasion when, for once, I don't think anybody can deny that we're bringing you some good news, which is not always what our government is famous for, but there's a real opportunity to take hold of the opportunities which are now in front of us as far as empty homes go, and I want to just lay out some of the things which we're doing, some of which I'm sure you know about, try and put them in a bigger picture, and then maybe issue a challenge at the end of what I'm going to say as well. I did come to your equivalent meeting a year ago, and I think I explained then how I got to be where I am now, but a great deal has happened since. And if I can just remind you that I'm a Liberal Democrat member of the coalition government, and dealing with empty homes was one of the priorities for the Liberal Democrats before the election. It was written into the coalition agreement alongside a commitment to have a social and affordable housing programme. And that is now my responsibility to deliver in the Department of Communities and Local Government. And it is, of course, the first time that any government has had a comprehensive plan for dealing with empty homes. It's something that's been talked about, and sometimes at the fringes things have been done, but it is the first time that comprehensive action has been planned and now put in place. So I'm very pleased to come along today and spell out exactly what that consists of, and I'm looking forward to your questions, especially I'm looking forward to the easy questions, obviously. We've made some progress in the last 2 years. There are now 21,000 fewer long-term empty homes than there were in 2010. But that means there's still 280,000 more to go. And so there's no shortage of work for the people in this room to help us to deliver on reducing that number a great deal more. So what have we done so far? Well, the first step was to put some tools in the hands of those with this responsibility. The online empty homes toolkit, the GIS mapping toolkit, and the HCA, the Homes and Communities Agency, who ran capacity building events last year. Some 270 local authorities engaged in that process, which is a good start. So we provided some tools, but Peter Gibbons was saying to me just a few moments ago that his worry is that now it's so fashionable and everybody's onto empty homes, everybody is reinventing the wheel, and instead of sharing good practice and finding out what the shortest and quickest way of delivering is. So obviously that doesn't apply to anybody in this room. You've come here precisely to do that networking and learning, which is so important. But I'm sure that the HCA stands ready to take that capacity building and learning experience further, and I've certainly now got in mind that we need to prompt that to happen and make sure that we have as much peer-to-peer learning from our successes and learning from our mistakes as possible. So we've put some tools in place, and we've also put some incentives and some money in place, some sticks and some carrots. The new homes bonus, which is available for empty homes brought back into use, means that by the end of this year, £63 million will have been paid to local authorities where they have brought back into use empty homes. And that is, of course, now becoming a significant incentive for local authority finance directors, if not anybody else, to see ways in which they can facilitate empty homes coming back into use. The local government finance bill, which has just left the Commons and is going to the House of Lords and is due to come into force in April of next year, changes the discount regime for empty homes and for second homes. And that's got the potential to contribute, if councils decide not to have those discounts and not to have those offsets for second homes, that's capable of generating for local authorities over £400 million. So there's a lot of money in the system which isn't, in the first instance, visibly part of the empty homes investment. Sticks and carrots, and also something that as a Liberal Democrat I'm particularly pleased to see in the legislation, an empty homes premium, which will allow local authorities to charge additional council tax up to 50% of the basic council tax after an empty home has been standing for 2 years. It's a discretionary scheme, it's one for local authorities to use as they see fit, but yet another important prompt and another encouragement for local authorities to get stuff done. And we do need to get stuff done. We've lived with the scourge of empty homes for far too long. They do blight our communities, they waste housing, they lead to antisocial behaviour, they depress house prices. There is nothing good about empty homes. And despite the good progress we've made, we've got hundreds of thousands more to go at. And our thinking on the change to the discounts is that it isn't sensible at all for local authorities to be compelled to give a discount when what we actually need is not an incentive to leave homes vacant, but an encouragement to bring them back into use. And the proposal to scrap those compulsory discounts and introduce an empty homes premium will give councils a very important extra weapon in their armoury to implement, on a sliding scale approach, pressure to get those empty homes back into use. Now, it's not just about the tools, it's not just about the sticks and the carrots, it's also about real life investment. And we've so far committed £150 million to bringing empty homes back into use. And that will bring a total of something like 10,700 empty homes straight back into use. And £100 million of that is being used to bring them back as affordable and social housing. And we've split that £100 million, as you know, into two funding streams. The first for local authorities and registered providers, the public sector broadly speaking, to work together to bring empty homes back into use. And the second strand is for community groups and the voluntary sector. And on the 5th of March, I announced the £70 million of funding for the projects in the local authority and registered provider sector. That's bringing back 5,600 properties back into use across the country. Incidentally, when we set the programme out, we said we would get 3,000 empty homes. So we're absolutely delighted that actually we've been able to get better value for money, to lever in more projects and to deliver an outcome which is almost twice as good as the number we first thought of. And that's just with the first 70 million. And today I'm announcing a further £25.8 million for the voluntary and community sector, which will bring back in about another 1,500 empty homes delivered by 79 community and voluntary groups around the country. And that means that £100 million will be delivering 7,100 empty homes brought back into use, far exceeding our starting point of 3,300. And then also today we are announcing the approval of the bids for the cluster funding. That was a fund of £50 million, which we were able to build up to £60 million on a matched funding basis. And we invited 21 local authorities to bid, and we have received bids from 20 successful schemes, which we are taking forward. And this funding, which is not necessarily required to deliver social or affordable housing, will bring back some 3,600 empty homes back into use. So if you put all of that together, that's where our 10,000 empty homes brought back into use from our investment programme comes from. Now, as ever, of course, civil servants warn you from saying anything too dangerous or relevant on these occasions, but the projects that we've approved are obviously subject to due diligence, but I can say that there is a very wide range of innovative and thought-provoking schemes which I think will actually serve as exemplars on a much wider scale. The community fund approvals include projects which are looking at having revolving loan funds. There's a homesteading scheme in Stoke and elsewhere, a number of homesteading schemes where people are brought in to basically do up their own home. 7 projects with the YMCA bringing homes back into use for a particular demographic. Renovation of housing for women suffering from domestic violence. A whole range of schemes which haven't just got the objective of bringing a house back into use, but also meet specific needs of local communities, and also provide training opportunities and many other benefits on the side. The clusters include some very large-scale and imaginative schemes across Greater Manchester, all 10 local authorities working together to deliver a scheme of over 300 empty homes being brought back into use. In Liverpool, a £13 million programme to bring 700 empty homes back into use. And at a smaller scale, a very interesting partnership in Middlesbrough between Middlesbrough Council and a developer, and also Middlesbrough Council and a registered provider, to bring 100 homes back into use. A lot of people using their heads to come up with imaginative ways of delivering what they want and what we want and what the local community wants to see as well. And the £70 million programme has got plenty of good examples as well. The one that came particularly to my attention is a project by Ashfield District Council in Nottinghamshire, which is bringing homes in Ashfield, Newark and Mansfield back into use through a lease and repair model. And that also involves the YMCA and the Kirby Trust to help homeless 16 to 25-year-olds. So looking not simply at how do we get a home back into use, but what is that home going to be used for? How can we get the maximum social value out of the investment which is taking place? So we've got the tools, we've got the carrots and sticks, we've got the real-life investment of money, and of course I have to say we've got an empty homes advisor. It's a pity George Clark can't be here, but he has been giving us a lot of thoughtful contributions, and indeed we've had him on the road visiting a number of locations and giving us feedback and help. And I'm looking forward very much to working closely with George over the coming years in order to get every scrap of value we can out of him. So what's next? Well, we've got a programme which delivers 10,000, of which 7,000 are to be social and affordable. We've provided support for local authorities, £63 million from the New Homes Bonus, and rising every year, with, of course, an extra £350 of New Homes Bonus for every social home brought back into use. We're pointing local authorities towards a considerable increase in income from the abolition, or at least the introduction, of complete discretion on the empty homes council tax discount. And that provides the opportunity for local authorities to recycle some of that. Indeed, I'm already hearing from local authorities that if the way to get more New Homes Bonus is to get more empty homes back into use, then they want to see the investment actually forwarded locally and very strongly. We've got models and exemplars, I might say, almost coming out of our ears. And I hope that the many schemes which have now been approved and which are getting underway will be much talked about, much visited, much copied by others. And if you're saying, well, where's the government's next £100 million coming from? I'm saying you should be looking to local authorities and saying they're getting the £100 million. The abolition of the discounts, the introduction of the new homes bonus, there is a flow of money to local authorities, and that is where the next generation of investment needs to come from. And we can deliver homes at remarkable value for money compared to building new ones. We can provide training opportunities, we can provide a density of employment which is the best that you can get in the whole construction sector. For every £1 million spent, more people working on this type of operation than on any other kind of building job. Uplifting neighbourhoods, reducing antisocial behaviour, it really is a no-brainer. The government's laid all the foundations, we've pointed the way, and we've put our money where our mouth is. It's been a challenge for us. We haven't exactly got money in every pocket at the moment, and there are plenty of people in government who can find other things to spend the money on. But we've done it, and with that challenge, we brought, I think, a real opportunity for the empty home sector that we absolutely have to take. And so my challenge for you is quite straightforward. Will you work together with me, with government, to make sure that we put the scourge of unused and empty homes and derelict neighbourhoods behind us and make real progress in solving Britain's housing crisis? That's the job for you, that's the job for me, and we need to work together to achieve it. Thank you.